Hello there YouTube, it's Omar Al-Ansari Krieger again, and I thought that I would do this video segment about corruption in Africa. Now this is a subject that is naturally very sensitive to those who are very vigilant about the developments that are partaking all over, like in the international community, up to date. But corruption is virtually a vice that prevents the full infrastructural development of a nation-state's degree to flourish to its greatest potential. And these vices will really undermine the well-being of its people, and that stagnates and cheats like really the government's ability to provide for its people. Now, this is obviously a generic definition, but we need to actually explore the actual root causes of corruption and like where exactly it stipulates from. It seems that corruption is obviously very prevalent all throughout the developing third world. Now, if we actually take a look at really the scales of economic distribution all throughout these sovereign countries, we realize that poverty is relatively prevalent. You have a rich ruling class and an extremely low impoverished class, and there's essentially a great class divide that is created between these two, which creates naturally a gap. Now, in order really to advance oneself in really a society that has such extreme measures of great economic segregation, and which creates this particular gap, it almost seems that this would naturally create a great staging ground for corruption. In many respects, especially when you take a look at the former Soviet bloc in Eastern Europe, one particular country that comes to my mind is Moldova. Moldova is one of the most impoverished countries, really on the face of continental Europe. It seems that really just to acquire basically rights for medical visitation to see just a regular medical doctor or a common practice doctor almost takes a bribe, 4 bribes, 5 bribes. To check bags at an airport takes a bribe. But the thing is, this all goes hand in hand with the corruption that really overwhelms and really condemns the national populaces of the underdeveloped world, because they don't necessarily take this corruption necessarily really to do a bad deed and really to elevate themselves in society in the sense where they can enhance their earnings, in a sense to enhance really a degree of excessive wealth, what we would naturally really interpret over here really in the West. But they're just accepting these bribes to simply provide for themselves, to provide for their families, to put food on the table. And really a society, a government that really makes its people go to these extremes, to accept corruption, to allow corruption really to establish its fruits in society, this in itself exists as an injustice. And then you basically have a perpetual cycle of stagnation between the government and between the people, who don't necessarily know how to exercise to exercise their rights to the true echelons of governmental power. Now, what does that mean? That means really getting what I need from the government by just going through a conventional channel and expecting really the anticipated results that I need without actually having to pull any sort of strings. Now, how does this relate to Africa? We can basically virtually see, that the vast majority of the continent is overwhelmed with corruption, with civil war, with poverty, with hunger. And this is interchangeable with the low economic degree of development, interchangeable to third world, and infringes on its ability really to develop, creating the stage of greater corruption. And really this prevents really the foundation of infrastructure. This just creates a dog-eat-dog environment, and really this degree of uncertainty that really looms over the head of every proponent of society. Now, that may seem to be a little bit of a common fact, or a little bit of a shocking reality, but nonetheless, if you just take a look at the evening news, you can obviously really confirm all these details. But I mean, it's something that really exists as a generic reality, but it takes a degree of tenacity really to acknowledge them and actually explore the root causes of these particular problems. And didn't really talk too much about Africa, but I mean, I think Africa really exists more as a greater concept to this particular issue at hand. And really, I think that the example of corruption that exists all across Africa can most definitely be used as a source to see how we can actually implement measures that can at least help to counter the practices of corruption, while paving the way for proactive uses of government that enables the people to approach the conventional powers without having to overcome these attached strings and really to have these special connections. So It just seems that's something we could actually work on, and we could actually develop numerous continuum theories. But something we can definitely think about as we approach and progress further into the 21st century. Appreciate any feedback to this video. Thank you all for your time.